Now at 5, as schools across the country deal with a shortage of bus drivers, we're going to hear from some area districts on the issue. Plus, a partnership between Mercy Hospital and Concert Health aims to provide easier access to mental health services. And North Korea is speaking out after a U.S. soldier entered that country.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The 4 states area, as much of the country, is dealing with a shortage of school bus drivers. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. We spoke to the Carl Junction and Pittsburgh school districts. While they were able to fill all of their full-time bus driver positions for the fall semester, they're having a hard time hiring for substitute positions. The local school districts are not alone. According to USA Today, a survey conducted by Hop Skip Drive shows that 92% of education and transportation leaders report their operations are constrained by the driver shortages. As the school year approaches, officials are concerned about unexpected but not unfamiliar situations.
Right now, the first day, I will probably be driving a bus. Our mechanics can both drive, so we do our best to get as many routes as we can get out there. I don't see us having a problem the first day just because everybody should be here.
Times where teachers are, for example, finished with their class day and they may be going to an activity anyway, or a coach. We can use those as a bus driver to and from that location if they're going, and it also gives them the opportunity to maybe have a little bit more spending money.
Both school districts are taking applications for substitute bus drivers. They also support the chosen candidates with paid training. For more information, go to our website. Of course, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Mercy is partnering with Concert Health to provide more accessible behavioral health treatment. To combat the lack of mental health access in the community, the partnership aims to build a model for people to receive the care they need while giving primary care providers an avenue to expand services. Allowing nurse practitioners and other APPs to prescribe behavioral health treatment cuts back on wait times and frees up appointments.
They've often waited months or years before they seek treatment because there's been a stigma, and when they finally seek treatment, they can't wait another several months or a year to seek treatment. They need some help now, and so we've started prescribing straight out of family medicine to help these patients.
Mercy plans to implement the collaborative care model in Arkansas and Oklahoma by the end of this year. Boy, another beautiful day out there. Let's check in with meteorologist Sam Lane.
You're right, Dow. It's been beautiful and gorgeous conditions across the area, especially in the morning hours. In fact, look at the lows this morning across the area. A lot of places in the 50s. Just absolutely gorgeous. 60 in Pineville, 59 in Veneta, 58 in Parsons. Check out Garnett. They were down to 55 degrees this morning. A beautiful afternoon as well with temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Even some 70s still showing up in Monette with 79, 86 in Fredonia. A little bit warmer out in Howard where they're 87. This evening we're going to see temperatures dropping through the 80s into the 70s all the way down to 63 degrees tomorrow morning. Not as chilly as it was this morning, but still very comfortable. And looking down the lane, another cool night tonight, a warmer Thursday, but unfortunately a hot weekend in store for our forecast. And of course, the drought continues as well, and I'll have more on that in just a little bit.
All right, catch you in a few. President Biden is heading to Hawaii on Monday to see the damage from those devastating wildfires, meet with survivors, and survey the government's response. The road into devastated Lahaina is being reopened for survivors to return to see the devastation with their own eyes. The death toll from those wildfires is now up to 106, with only about a third of the disaster area searched. We're hearing for the first time from North Korea after American soldier Travis King entered that country. North Korean officials claim he crossed over voluntarily. Ian Lee reports.
North Korea is breaking its silence about detained U.S. soldier Travis King. Pyongyang claims inhumane maltreatment and racism within the U.S. Army drove the Wisconsin native to cross the heavily fortified border last month, adding he's seeking refuge in the north or a third country. The 23-year-old private was last seen on a civilian tour of the demilitarized zone between the Koreas. He hasn't been heard from since. The Pentagon says it couldn't verify the comments came from King. A family spokesman released this statement saying his mother is aware of the report and appeals to North Korean authorities to look after his well-being and to treat him humanely. King spent 2 months in a South Korean jail on assault charges and was set to return to the U.S. for military proceedings. He was taken to the airports by military police but didn't board the plane. He then traveled to the border before fleeing into North Korea. Ian Lee, CBS News.
U.S. officials have said they believe King crossed the border intentionally and have declined so far to classify him as a prisoner of war, which would give him extra protections under the Geneva Convention. Still ahead, making sure the precious cargo stays safe.
In a new round of crash tests, most vehicles get low marks when it comes to protecting passengers in the back seat. I'm Haley Ott, and I'll tell you why.
And next in Health Watch, some tips to protect yourself from a rip current if you plan to head to the beach. Topping today's Health Watch, all infants should receive preventative intervention for the respiratory infection RSV. That's according to a new study out of Vanderbilt University. Researchers looked at data from fall of 2022 taken from 39 hospitals across 27 states. It showed that most infants who needed ICU-level care for RSV had been healthy before their infections. RSV is the leading cause of lower respiratory tract infections and hospitalizations worldwide. Drug use could be a factor in cardiac ICU admissions. Researchers in France tested the urine of patients admitted to cardiac ICUs in 39 hospitals. They detected recreational drugs in 1 out of every 10 admitted patients, and the results affected outcomes. Compared with non-using heart patients, those who tested positive for drugs were nearly 9 times more likely to die or require emergency treatment while hospitalized. Every summer, rip currents are a big concern for beachgoers. Christian Benavides reports from Deerfield Beach, Florida, on what precautions you should take on your next beach vacation.
Headquarters radio check.
For millions of Americans, summer means hitting the beach, and if you're doing so in Deerfield Beach, Florida, you'll likely find Ocean Rescue Captain Mike Brown at one of the city's lifeguard towers.
When we enter the water, we're going as hard and as fast as we can.
He's personally handled countless rescues. More often than not, it's when an unsuspecting beachgoer gets caught in a rip current.
Rip currents account for over 80% of rescues performed by surf lifeguards nationwide.
Rip currents do not pull people underwater, but rather away from shore, and can pull you out hundreds of yards.
These currents can move pretty quickly, faster than even like an Olympic swimmer.
The National Weather Service says never assume it's safe to swim just because it's nice outside like today. Rip currents often form in calm, sunny days. Experts say resist the urge to fight the rip current. Instead, swim out of the current in a direction following the shoreline or towards breaking waves. Draw attention to yourself if you are unable to reach the shore. But most importantly, swim where there are lifeguards present. The chance of death by drowning at a beach protected by lifeguards is 1 in 18 million.
It's a stressful situation initially because someone is in trouble, but you're trained to do your job, remain calm.
You can also spot rip currents out in the water. Look out for a difference in water color, a channel of churning, choppy water, or a line of foam, seaweed, or debris moving toward the sea. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Deerfield Beach, Florida.
70 people have been killed after becoming trapped in a rip current this year alone, the majority in Florida. Being in good shape could help prevent certain cancers. A study of Swedish military conscripts monitored for more than 30 years found those with better cardiorespiratory fitness when they were young had a lower risk of 9 cancers, including of the head and neck, the pancreas, and the bowels. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, our pet vet on call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eva Jude from Parsons Pet Hospital. Coming up, we got a fun fact about spiders.
And we've got lots of warm air headed our direction for the weekend. I'll have the complete forecast when we come back. Well, we must be living right because the weather has just been absolutely perfect the last few days with cool mornings and warm afternoons. Certainly nothing like what we experienced a few weeks ago with all those hot temperatures. Right now in Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, things are looking pretty nice. Hardly a cloud in the sky, lots of blue skies and nice temperatures. In fact, it was only 58 degrees this morning in Joplin. Same thing at Doug Dix's house is up in Moran this morning. It was also 58 degrees. 80 degrees for the high this afternoon. That's all we could do, which was way below the normals of 90 and 68. And rainfall, we're ahead for the month, but we're still behind for the year, so we could use a little bit of precipitation. But right now, nothing to be found. Radar is all clear across the entire four-state area, but we at least have nice, pleasant temperatures in our region. 82 right now in Stockton, 82 in Carthage, still only 79 in Monette and in Cassville. A little bit warmer out to the west where it's 87 in Sedan, and that's kind of a harbinger of things to come as we head towards the weekend, and you'll see that in a minute. Dew points are still very comfortable right now, generally in the upper 50s and lower 60s, although the deeper moisture is going to start to creep back up into our area from the south. But right now we have not bad and pleasant conditions as far as the dew points. Right now in Joplin, beautiful skies, 82 degrees, southwest wind at 8. Feels like 82, that's a nice change. 59 degrees is what the dew point is, and the humidity at 45%. Rain chances are going to be low to basically zero for the next 36 hours, and not just the next 36 hours, but several days of zero chances of precipitation. And it's all because of this ridge of high pressure that's still out to our west. But as we go through the weekend, notice what happens. It starts to move a little bit closer to us and parks itself right over our region, right on through the weekend and into the early part of next week. And so that means the storms are going to go all the way up to the north away from us. Our best chance of precipitation may be if a tropical system sneaks in underneath the bottom of this high and kind of throws some moisture up our way, and that's a real long shot at this point. Temperatures tonight are going to be very mild once again. Not as cool as it was this morning, but still not bad, in the mid-60s. And then tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy skies with highs getting closer to normal. Upper 80s, maybe some lower 90s out towards the west. And then as we go into Friday morning, a little bit of cooler air coming back down from the north, so we drop back down into the lower 60s again and mid-60s out towards the west. And then Friday afternoon, mostly sunny with temperatures right around normal, upper 80s and lower 90s in the region. And then as we go into Saturday morning, a little bit milder with a little bit more breeze, with lows in the upper 60s and lower 70s. Over the next 7 days, it's going to be dry for several days in a row, close to 100 Dow as we get into Sunday, and we have to wait till next week before we get the next chance of precipitation in here on Thursday and Friday. But at least we're not seeing 100 plus.
That is good news, and we'll be welcoming that rain when it comes in.
Absolutely.
You mentioned Doug Dix. I'm going to go ahead and point out that he's
Yeah.
a potential future meteorologist,
Absolutely.
currently in grade school now, visiting us in the studio with his
That's right.
mom.
He's angling for my job already.
Yeah, I guess so. He's finding out how it's done.
That's right.
Thanks. Coming up, why analysts are having a hard time forecasting how much money Americans will spend on the holidays this year. Topping today's Consumer Watch, conflicting signals on the health of the economy are making this year's holiday shopping numbers difficult to forecast. Many industries and retailers rely on sales in November and December to make them profitable for the year. With low unemployment numbers, wages are up, but inflation is still eating away at most of the benefit brought on by the higher incomes. Americans are saving less, and credit card debt has surpassed $1 trillion. Still, many analysts expect holiday sales to go up modestly from last year. An insurance group is out with results of new crash tests that put a focus on backseat passengers. Reporter Haley Ott has the results.
You can see what happens to the outside of a car when hitting a barrier at 40 miles per hour. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety also looks at what happens inside during a crash. 7 mid-size cars tested all received high marks for protecting the driver, but it was a different story in the back.
How did the cars perform at protecting the person in the back seat?
This is the disappointing part of the story. Only the Honda Accord achieved a good rating.
David Harkey is the president of the IIHS and says the Honda Accord did well at preventing injury to the test dummy. Compare that crash to another vehicle that received a poor rating. The head turns violently before slamming into the seat.
Experts say the reason many cars get a low grade is because seatbelts in the back are not as good as the belts in the front.
In some vehicles, the backseat belt moved from the pelvis up to the abdomen, which can increase the risk of abdominal injuries. Harkey says seat belts in the back need to be more like those in the front, with better anchor points and a tension system that mitigates the force of the crash.
We want to see those belt technologies put in the rear seat. We really want to see that rear seat passenger protected and to keep them in that safe seating position during a crash.
Harkey says automakers are already designing those changes, which will be a safety upgrade for future vehicles. Haley Ott, CBS News, New York.
Previous testing on SUVs and small cars also found most vehicles did not perform well at protecting backseat passengers. X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, has reportedly been slowing down access to rival sites. That's according to an analysis from the New York Times. The slow web response, known as throttling, initially affected rival social networks, including Facebook, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Also affected the newsletter site Substack and a handful of news outlets, including the New York Times. According to the Times, the delay to load links from X lasted about 4.5 seconds. The Biden administration is asking the Supreme Court to take up multiple cases involving social media. The U.S. government's brief adds pressure on the court to rule on whether states can force tech platforms to host content the social media companies would otherwise remove under their terms of service. The federal government's argument is the laws violate the First Amendment rights of companies such as Meta and Twitter. Our Pet Vet on Call, up next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, the latest on the investigation into the cause of the devastating wildfires in Maui. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on how area school districts are dealing with a bus driver shortage as we head into the new school year. Plus, KBI steps in on the case of a police raid on a Kansas newspaper office. And Pitt State announces a new athletic program this year. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Well, some people might actually have one as a pet, but plenty of people kind of have phobias about them. Dr. Eva Dudek has a fun fact for us today about spiders.
There are about 30,000 spiders in the world. Not exactly fun, it's more of a horror movie, but of those 30,000 plus, there are only about 30 that are harmful to people. Still not fun. But of those 30, there are only about 9 that are harmful to people in the United States. And although they are seldom fatal, they do cause ugly, big ugly sores and can make you very, very sick. So the only fun fact really here is, even though you're not going to die from a spider bite, is that thank God these things can't fly.
Yeah, you can say that again. I'm not sure I feel better actually about spiders now. We invite questions from anyone. If you have a question, you just send it to petvet@koamtv.com. Dr. Eva Dudek from the Parsons Pet Hospital answers a different question or brings us a fun fact every Wednesday right here on KOAM News at 5. Of course, you can also find answers to previous questions on our website. All right, let's check out our picks of the litter for the week. From the Joplin Humane Society, we have Bogey. The shelter says he's a young male pit bull terrier with a whole lot of energy. And from the Southeast Kansas Humane Society, we have this 9-month-old female medium hair cat. Her name is Raspberry, and the shelter says she likes toys and belly rubs. And really, who doesn't? If you're looking for a pet, why not check out your local Humane Society? They always have a lot of great ones out there. Great evening to get outside with your pets.
Oh, absolutely. Great evening out there with temperatures dropping down into the 50s and 60s. And then as we head towards the weekend, we get close to 100 degrees again. Couldn't bring myself to actually put that on there, but it's going to be close. And then as we head towards next week, a better chance of showers and storms as we go into Thursday and Friday, but it's not a big chance at this point. So the drought, unfortunately, Dow, looks like it's going to continue for a little bit longer, but at least we're not seeing 100 plus.
Yeah, we appreciate you keeping the forecast to double
You're
digits
welcome.
if you can. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.